You're watching Satluj TV News. I'm Angus Scott in London. In California, the state legislature yesterday officially recognised the terrible events in November 1984, where thousands of Sikhs were murdered in cold blood, as a genocide. Dr. Jasmeet Bains, the first ever Sikh to be voted into the Assembly in the California State Legislature, swore in the decree.
As the first Sikh elected to serve in the California State Legislature, and on behalf of the nearly 30 million Sikhs living throughout the world, let me take this opportunity to thank you for refusing to sanitize history.
The decree follows the State of Connecticut, who voted in a similar recognition in 2019. The official labelling of events as a genocide lays bare the truth of what unfolded in the wake of Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination on the 31st of October 1984. The Indian Prime Minister was shot dead by her two Sikh bodyguards in response to her order to launch a full frontal military attack on the Harmandir Sahib, or Golden Temple, in Amritsar, the most sacred religious site for Sikhs. That attack in itself involved the killing of thousands of innocent Sikh men, women and children pilgrims. The days after Gandhi's assassination witnessed the brutal and indiscriminate mass murder of up to 18,000 Sikhs across India.
Sikh children throughout the world grow up hearing about the terrible stories of what happened to our people in India in 1984. It is difficult to find a Sikh family that was not in some way directly affected by the violence, destruction, and murder, and the genocide that occurred with the consent and participation of the Indian government. 1984 is a year every Sikh person knows, and we all know it was a genocide.
One of the more shocking facts about the genocide was the tacit involvement of the Indian government and the police, who covertly directed the massacre, providing the mobs with addresses of Sikhs to help them hunt down targets for torture and killings. In many cases, Sikhs were burnt alive in front of their families and wives, then gang raped. After the genocide, the Indian government then went to great lengths to bury any evidence of what had happened to both ordinary Indians and the outside world. Dr. Bains then highlighted how current Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has followed the same narrative that there was no Indian state involvement in the genocide, despite various court cases and investigations proving otherwise, and his political deflection of the truth by inferring the genocide had not in fact been a religious persecution.
Unfortunately, that fact has been purposely and tactfully hidden from the world. Most history books fail to use the term genocide and minimize the number of deaths that occurred, as well as the role of the Indian government played in orchestrating attacks against its own citizens. Prime Minister Modi has tried to scrub the truth from India's history by claiming that the violence was not directed at any particular community and was instead an attack on the whole nation. Today marks exactly 3 weeks from the day Prime Minister Modi was honored with a state dinner at the White House. I can think of no more fitting time for the California State Legislature to speak truth to power by calling the 1984 anti-Sikh violence exactly what it was, a genocide.
Narendra Modi had been welcomed by US President Joe Biden during a state visit in June, which itself provoked an angry backlash from several Indian minorities who have suffered under his government's regime. Indeed, the first question during the joint press conference confronted the Indian Prime Minister about his record over human rights. And if you'd like to know more about the terrible events of 1984, you can watch our own series of documentaries covering the events in detail on our channel. That'll be under the title Attack on Spirit and Faith. But in the meantime, you've been watching Satluj TV News, and if you have any comments or opinions on any of our news stories, you can comment below, or indeed drop us a direct message at message@satlujtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. For Satluj TV News, I'm Angus Scott in London.